Oh, teachers and educators, you are leaving your profession in droves. I have never seen on LinkedIn and other platforms so many teachers and educators wanting to leave their profession. Tired, done, just want to move on to something else. So, you're going to try and pivot into a new job and a new career. What are some ways or jobs that you can do that too? Now, we have put two videos out already specifically for teachers and educators because we're seeing such a demand and getting so many questions from you about how you do this. One is about how to get your resume translated from a teacher educator into a resume that's going to help you get a job, and where we give you actual bullets and stuff. The other one is talking about pivoting in general. Today, I want to talk about teachers and educators. Where can you find jobs? Where are some good places for you to consider looking when you're trying to make that move into a more corporate area or a corporate development? So, if you have questions on this video, as always, put them down in the comments down below. We do try to get to each and every one, including if you want us to do a video focusing on an additional topic for you teachers, let us know that as well. Okay, so oh my gosh, I know it's been rough, teachers. How can you pivot into something new? I want you to think about, because some of the teachers have come to us saying, all I've ever been is a teacher. I feel like there's nothing that I can do outside of the classroom or outside of the school. Oh my goodness. So many of your skills are transferable. So many of your base competencies are exactly what companies are looking for. It's just a matter of you in your mind being able to translate and see yourself into one of these new things. Now, if you went to school all this time and you're in, middle, high school, college, and then your first job, you go right back into that school environment, the unfortunate thing is you probably have not seen a lot of the careers that are out there. So the first thing I'm going to recommend to you is you need to go back and do a career exploration. Now, I am not a fan of those surveys that you take a survey, you take a questionnaire, and it tells you what careers you're best for. I don't find them mapping really well to what people really want to do, because I don't think they yet understand those careers. First and foremost, if you're not on LinkedIn, teachers, get on LinkedIn and start talking with people about the jobs that they do. But here are some examples of jobs that I would like you to consider looking at. Now, I'm an HR person, and I think HR is the best career on the planet. I love what I do. As a teacher, there are so many parts of HR that match perfectly with your role as a teacher. And I'm going to explain some of those through. For example, a lot of your time is in curriculum development. I actually saw a post on LinkedIn the other day where somebody had the gall to say teachers don't develop curriculum. I'm like, what teacher doesn't develop curriculum? It's ridiculous. Anyway, there are definite roles in HR in training and development where you are doing just that. As an HR person for my clients, I do needs assessments, and we go out and customize and design training on different things for them. You do the exact same thing in a classroom setting. You're given a certain goal, you develop the curriculum out, you figure out, depending on what your audience is, how you're going to present that material. You have a huge connection right into training and development within the HR world. Here, though, are some other things that you may not be considering. I know you've all sat across the table talking with a parent about one of the children in there that may be doing great, that you're trying to leverage, their skills and their strengths even more, or with a child that maybe is struggling, that you're trying to work with the parents in order to get this child where they need to be. Well, guess what? HR people do the same thing with supervisors and employees. That employee counseling, that management counseling, in the same way that you're doing the student counseling and doing that interface with the parents, with the principals, is the same type of activities. Now, granted, you're going to need to get some additional education on the HR laws and the best ways to kind of approach it from that standpoint, and good practices. But the base competencies that you are using to successfully do that and set your kids up for success in your classroom is exactly the same thing that we're trying to do as HR people. when you have a performance issue with an employee in a company, the putting an employee maybe like on a corrective action or a performance improvement plan, the goal is not to get rid of that employee or to terminate that employee. The goal is to help the manager and employee work together in order to get that employee where they need to be, right? If you thought the person was worthless and never going to do it, or there was some really bad behavior, that you would be moving to termination. But that counseling and that coaching where you're helping that parent and student or that manager and employee get to where they each have what they need for the whole to be successful is something that you are doing each and every day with your students. Now, I'm not saying HR is the only career that you should be considering. There are so many other pieces that you're doing as an educator with those base competencies that you don't necessarily think about. Now, if you have an expertise, if you're in a high school setting where you are doing, if you have an IT focus in what you're doing and you're helping students, with different software, there's companies that want that skill in software. If you are a history teacher and you want to move out of the classroom and move into a museum where you're a curator or something, there is a path that's still there because it's still about education and preservation. There's so many connections that you need to go through and do. So, because there's so many of you teachers with so many different skills, how can you actually do that? Well, I'm going to tell you, and you're not going to like this answer. I want you to stop just networking and talking with other teachers. I want you to back up. I want you to go to what you got your degree in. Now, I know this is a little harder if you're, elementary education and that's what you got your degree in. But if you actually are a high school and you have a specialty in a certain area, you have a degree that's in math or, like we said, history or English, LinkedIn is a beautiful place in order to do research on careers. I want you to go back and start looking at the career paths that people took that were not moving into teaching, but moved into the corporate world or the government entities or the nonprofit world, and start looking at what path they took after getting a degree in history into the different jobs and careers that they've held. And it will help broaden your perspective to be able more to see more than just where you were. Now, if you're not so strong on LinkedIn and you are feeling not great about managing through that, another wonderful way to do this actually is to go back to the university that you graduated from. The universities, almost all of them, have some sort of career center, and they're used to dealing with students who are trying to find their path afterwards. Now, it's going to take a lot of research on your own, right? You're going to have to go in there, but the resources are there within the Career Center, whether online or not, within the university. Now, universities are using a lot Handshake now, which is a platform that they use to help connect with employers and such like that. If you don't have a Handshake account, you might want to go back to university, get a Handshake account, which will help you understand who's hiring for people with this type of degree or with this type of major. Now, for most of you, you are going to have to go back and do some type of training. Don't fall into the trap of just taking the same training that every other teacher is taking. Make sure whatever training you're doing is aligned towards where you think you want that career to be. If you really enjoy, the vendors that come in and having the conversations with them when they're coming into the schools, selling different things and trying to connect with you on their products, that's a one-step adjacency that you could move into a company like that. But again, it's still within your world. I want you to do more research and more exploration about the careers that are surrounding you. Now, another way to do this is to actually go out to the job boards and to start looking at jobs that putting in keywords of things that you think that you liked in your job, whether competency or not. Don't look for job titles, but look for skills. And it will start popping up different jobs that you can do. You can do this in LinkedIn. You can do this with Indeed, Career Builder, Monster, Dice, and start just putting in skills. Don't even worry about location, right? Because we're just trying to explore careers at this point. But type in skills that you think that you are good at or things that you think you want to go further with, and then see what kind of jobs pop up when you're looking at that careers and skills. I think it is great to stay in touch with your teachers and your education peers, because they're going to feel the same feelings that you're feeling of moving out of this one world into potentially another new exciting world. Just make sure that all of your time is not focused strictly with that population, so you are seeing a broader look about what is available out there for you. Listen, you can do this pivot. You can do something new. And here's the great thing. If you change to do something new and you don't like it in a couple of years, you can change again. You can change again. Can you even go back to teaching if you want to eventually? You can. You have options. Is it going to be a little hard? Are you going to feel like, oh, I can never do this? Yes. I promise you, you can. Just look around and you'll see a bunch that already have. All right, teachers and educators, if you have questions, let us know. We'll do our best. I really recommend you watch those other two videos, especially the one on translating the parts of your resume. It will help you get seen a whole lot more by other companies and recruiters so they can see all the great skills about you. All right, as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.